Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation, especially the sensors. As we always say with the New Health Conversation, just so you understand, we do not make claims. We do not give people false information. We only supply them with information from medical studies, medical proof. We have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies that we reference. We also have written 4 best-selling books of some of the top medical doctors in the world. So everything we're presenting to an audience is completely safe. We provide a free medical website for everybody to go to called the New Health Conversation. There's nothing to buy there. We're not trying to sell anybody anything. We're trying to educate people. So welcome everybody coming on. Hello, Annie. Hello, Hey Jen. Hello, Tossie Coffee. Hello, Nicole. The first question I'd like to ask any of you, the early adopters coming on here, looking at that picture, do you think it's the same woman? Do you all think it's the same woman? I'd love for anybody to comment. This podcast is designed, it's going to shake you up. Why? Because we're going to prove to you that all forms of dieting that you've been told that you're doing, that you're thinking about doing, are completely obsolete. None of them work. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. So again, hello, Jeff Sutton. Hello, Nicole, Nick, Louisiana, SKH, Jumi Cole. Lots of people coming on. Listen. Our role at the New Health Conversation, that's the name of the website, that's the name of the movement, the New Health Conversation. Don't you think we need one? We're here for only one purpose, and that is to make you aware of now what's available. The exciting news is there are 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies. Now, those of you not familiar with a peer-reviewed human trial study, for example, it's as high as you can go in medical research, like no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. What's so significant about this, it took 40 years of research, hundreds of studies, thousands of people by the top, and they're ranked the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world to discover this breakthrough. When you hear what it is, because it's not a product, okay? It's new food combinations and new completely different ways of consuming food, never done before. And the result is what you're looking at there, unless you don't think that's the same woman. I'd love for anybody to put in the comments, hello, SKH, Jumi, Joyful Joy, Divine, Creative, John O'Connor, of Beauty, User 591. Do any of you think that it's true? It's true. Look at, if you believe it's real, she lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Would you like to know how she did that? Is it crazy? Is it safe? Is it out of this world? It is out of this world. But what I want you to understand, we didn't invent it. We're called the researchers of the researchers, okay? It's not our research. We're shining light on it. We give you a free, right above her head, you can see it in blue, the New Health Conversation. If you go there, we won't contact you. What's sad is almost all of you will go back to what you're doing. Maybe because I'm a bad order, I'm not explaining it correctly, I don't know why. But how can any of you really believe that if 80% of America's overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic, the diets are working? Because they're not. It's just completely nonsense. And I'll show you studies today, even from like Medicare, saying Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. Now, all the research now is saying that everything we've been taught about calories in, calories out, keto, metro, none of them work. None of them work. And you all know that. You've lost weight, and then you plateau, and then you go off the diet, you gain everything back, and then you look for a new diet. This is a new day. Okay, now she's not the only one. So let's see, who else came on? User 591, Jekko, Bassfest, Cranjit, Ali, I'll Do Better, Evelyn White, Andrew Hafner, Progressive, joined, Gracie, great. Everybody's joining. I promise I'm going to explain to you in a moment exactly what they did, why it's a breakthrough. But I want you all to understand there's no products here. This isn't some lotion, potion, pill. No, it doesn't work like that. What you're going to learn today is probably going to shock you. You'll think it's so simple. Why did it take 40 years for them to figure it out? Well, I don't know. They guess they were looking in the wrong place. They were counting calories because that's what everybody had told you. Calories in, calories out, exercise, etc. In 1964, we had 15% of America overweight and obese. In 2024, it was 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. I'd love for anybody to put in the chat, tell me a diet you think works. Now, the next picture I'm going to show you is a young woman. She had 35 pounds to lose. She lost 21.2 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days with no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise. Not that the research was against exercise, but they didn't want exercise to be an outlier. In other words, to be an influence on what actually occurred. So you can look at day 1 and day 30. I think one of the things that's most impressive, look at from her hips up. Look at how her body just shrank. That's with no exercise, no sit-ups, no crunches, no anything. That's what this is. That's why this is so powerful. Now, let's look at the next one. This lady here, this is 37 days, 35 pounds. That's 7 pounds a week. Look from her face, from her shoulders, from her waist. I mean, I know you probably think it's photoshopped. This is unreal. And the sad part is almost all of you will go back to keto, paleo, Mediterranean, carb counting, whatever diet you're on. They don't work. Someone has to be your advocate. Someone has to stand up for everybody and say, look, enough is enough. I know I'm against everybody on social media. I know it because I get attacked all the time. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Really? Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 23 years. I've written 4 best-selling books to some of the biggest medical doctors in the world. I appeared 20 times on PBS, over 1,500 live lectures around the world at universities and hospitals and towns. They even flew me to China. And I'll be honest with you, for 22 of those 23 years in the medical world, all of this, all that academia meant absolutely zero. Why? Because there were no peer-reviewed human trial studies. Well, now there are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, and doctors and dietitians and everybody that finds out about this, it's like, why in the world would you go on a diet maybe to lose a pound a week when in her case, she lost 7 pounds a week? Okay, and then let's look at, this is what I want to show you now, the medical proof. Look at this, an older gentleman, 40 pounds, 52 and a half inches in 30 days. Look at his lab work. His A1C went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days with no exercise. I'd love anyone to make a comment on this. Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's AI? Do you think we photoshopped it? Because we didn't. This is absolutely real. So how did they do it, Tracy? Great question. I'm going to tell you in 1 second. Roxana shared, user 869, Maria, lots of people this morning, Christopher. But if you could get some taps on the screen to get some likes going, it just helps the algorithm. So we want to get this message to as many people as possible. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's talk about, let's do Kristen. That's more realistic for most of you. This is only 30 days. Now, she had 35 pounds to lose. She lost 21 pounds, 38 inches in the first 30 days. Okay, that's it. Now, what did she do? First, this was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world for 40 years. They're ranked the top people. They had done 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet out there. And sadly, they came to this conclusion. It didn't matter what the diet was. 2/3 of the people on any of these diets ended up gaining more weight than they lost in the long run, over and over and over again. Here's the problem that they figured out, that at least they shared with me. The problem with diets, they have nothing to do with counting calories. That may shock you. Here, I'm going to prove it to you. I'd love for anybody, and we got a lot of people on here now, please put in the chat, in the comments, the definition of a calorie, if anybody knows. I've had 2 people get it right in the last year. I didn't know what it was 23 years ago. I've spoken in medical school, in hospitals, and asking the doctors, give me the definition of a calorie. Nobody could get it right. Yet we're counting calories. Do you see the insanity in that? So again, put it in there, but we'll come back to that, right? So I'd love the definition of a calorie, the scientific definition, okay? Now, in her case, in all the cases, the researchers said this. The problem with diets is that our body, here's a physiological lesson, our body runs not on calories. It doesn't know what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories, even though you're counting calories. It only runs on one basic principle, nutrition. That's the fuel that runs all your brain, your kidney, your liver, all your organs, right? So think about what a diet really is. This may shock you. All a diet is, you're reducing the quantity of food you're consuming. Have they ever brought up to you, ever, that you're lowering nutrition? Now, let me tell you what happens when that occurs, because that's what a diet is. You're getting less food. By definition, you're getting less nutrition. When that happens, the brain figures out there's not enough fuel. It freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from accessing the fuel in your fat cells, and immediately converts to your muscles And that is so inefficient and so bad, it makes you unhealthy because number one, it not only does it slow down your metabolism, and that's why you lose weight initially in these diets, and then it slows to a trickle, then you plateau no matter what you do, you can't lose any more weight. So then you quit the diet, you gain everything back, and then you look for a new diet, right? Am I close? So what the researchers said was we need to change that parameter. So instead of concentrating on food quantity, okay, if we lower the amount of food we give to you, we need to find different foods. We need to find foods that have huge amounts of nutrition in small quantities. It'd be as if you could go to the gas station today and they had two pumps. Pump number one says this gallon will take you 20 miles. Pump number two says this gallon will take you 100 miles. That's what the researchers did. So here's what else they did. They put together a grocery list for her to buy from her grocery store. So of all the food she bought last month, only 30% this month she was going to buy from her grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving her calorie counts, they give her serving sizes, like how much, half a cup of vegetables or whatever it was. It's all laid out. As a matter of fact, they created something that they gave to all the people in these medical studies. This was their guide. It's called the Blueprint for Success, developed by the top weight loss people in the world. And all these yellows are individual daily videos explaining to you what you're doing, why it's safe, etc. It's pretty remarkable, right? So 30% of the food she consumed came from the grocery store, organic food, etc., right? Here was the key. And by the way, the researchers, there's no products to buy here. This is food, okay? You're buying food. So the other 70% of what the researchers used, they don't sell it. They don't have a company. They're scientists. They found other researchers who for the last 20, 25 years have gone around the world to remote areas, finding foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. And some of the nutrients that they brought from these foods were in areas of the world where people are living to be 100 years old and they aren't getting sick. That's kind of interesting. That's what I want to be putting in my body, right? So let's review. 30% from the grocery store list that you would get, and 70%, and you buy directly from them, by the way. You don't buy from us. You don't buy from the research. You buy directly from them. So now you had the ingredients, but you don't have a recipe. So the researchers created, for lack of a better term, a recipe. Totally new. 5 days a week, everybody, including her, had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods from around the world, lunch from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a fourth meal from these exotic foods around the world. So imagine, 5 days a week, she was eating 4 meals a day, okay? Now, 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these foods around the world. But this time she had them 8 times a day, and they called it nutritionally dense feedings meals. So she was eating about every hour and a half. Unheard of on diets, right? Fasting with nutrition. What a crazy, incredible new concept. Well, those are the results. Look at the results. That's 5 pounds a week. How many of you are excited to lose a pound a week, a half a pound a week? You know it's true. I know because I was on diets years ago. I know, I get it. My mother, unfortunately, died of obesity. What I was about to say is my mother would go to Weight Watchers every single week, and I'd see her lose 4 ounces, and she'd come back with a blue star or whatever it was, and they thought that was really great. This is the breakthrough the hope that everybody has been wanting. Whether you have to lose 10 pounds or 300 pounds, it doesn't matter. Diets are miserable failures. This is the breakthrough. This is the thing that has changed everything. I mean, when you look at this, unless you think that's the daughter of a friend of mine, it's not Photoshop. Look at her arms. Look at her face. Look at her stomach area. Where's all the loose skin? I understand, like I said, almost all of you are going to go back to paleo. Well, I'd love for anybody to put in the chat, what diet are you on? How have you done? Why would you think it's going to work long term when all the information, all the studies say now that they were wrong? I mean, I got people, not me, but even Harvard Medical School, right here, this study, stop counting calories. This is a Harvard Medical School, for crying out loud. It's not Peter Greenlaw. They said this. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. Well, that's exactly what these researchers did. They have nothing to do with Harvard. They didn't know this person. That person doesn't know them. They proved that what we were doing was 100% wrong. You know what's really, really, I guess you could say, to me, it's frightening when you look at the research. Here's a big study that was published by Johns Hopkins Medical School, right? Listen to this. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. It's estimated 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. How would any of you possibly argue that you think diets work? I mean, really, who thinks diets work long term? No one's arguing you can lose weight initially on these diets, but as you know, you plateau, then you quit the diet, you gain all the weight back and look for a new diet. Said it was the wrong diet. They're all wrong. None of them work long term. I mean, there's a big study right here called Why You Shouldn't Count Calories. Here's what they said. Our researchers found that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. They went on to say, counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, two factors that are known to cause weight gain. Did you know you're going on a diet to gain weight? Does that sound like, this is true, everybody. I'm not making anything up. This is what's really going on. Open your eyes. Stop immediately. Stop this calories in, calories out counting. No. I mean, all these people on social media, nice people, I see them, well-meaning. But have they ever showed you one shred of medical proof? One shred? They give you opinions, they show you before and afters. Oh yeah, we're showing you before and afters. But the difference is we've got the medical studies to back it up. They don't. They're giving you opinions. And they keep telling us to do the same damn thing over and over again that doesn't work. That's called the definition of insanity. I know I'm making some of you mad. I'm sure some of you are jumping off because who's this crazy, mad person? Look, I spent 23 years of my life at this. And 22 years, no one in the medical world would look at this. Oh, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast. It can't be right. It's got to be fake. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Well, it does work. There's just one example. You can see it right there. I'm delusional, Jack. Well, guess what, Jack? I hope you have a wonderful day because you're full of nonsense as usual. Totally full of nonsense. What a just see, people come on and they say that stuff, right? Like whoever this person is, right? No, it's not. It has nothing. No, you're Jack, go away, okay? No, Jack. See, he's going about this. I happen to have the article about thermodynamics. That's what he's talking about, everybody, about calories in, calories out, and energy. It's just total nonsense. Let me read from the medical proof, not somebody giving me an opinion, okay? For decades, the conventional wisdom surrounding weight loss has been dominated by a simplistic formula. Eat less, move more. This advice has been framed around the idea that calories as units of energy can be managed like a straightforward equation. Calories in, calories out. But if this is true, then why do we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? The answer lies in the deep biological complexities that govern our bodies, which are far more intricate than the laws of physics can explain. Okay, watch this. At the heart of the calorie theory is the first law of thermodynamics. And this is what he's talking about, which asserts that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This principle applies to a closed-loop system where energy is conserved. However, the human body is not a closed system. It's constantly interacting with the environment, expelling heat, sweat, and releasing waste. This makes the first law, isolation, completely unsubstantiated. Simply put, our body constantly losing energy in ways that aren't captured by basic thermodynamics. This is where the second law of thermodynamics comes into play, which describes entropy, the measure of energy that cannot be used for work. So the point is, his whole argument is out the window. Thermodynamics only applies to a closed loop system. The body's open. So, woo, Jack, have a good day. Go have a latte or whatever you're doing because you don't have an answer and you have no scientific proof to back it up. Ha ha, bye-bye. Okay, let's keep going, everybody. So now I'm going to explain to you, everybody. By the way, it's not Newton's third law. It's actually thermodynamics, which is full of it, okay? And Jack, your theory, if it was working, how in the hell could 80% of America be overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? You don't know what you're talking about. So, good. Anyway, let's now talk about what did they do. By the way, this was created not by somebody giving an opinion on TikTok. but by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world, recognized. 40 years of research, real research, scientific studies, thousands of people proving that what we were doing with counting calories is totally wrong. The only thing that matters to your body is nutrition. It's really that simple. So this whole idea about, energy is, in a closed loop system, but this is not a closed loop system. It's just nonsense. It's just dog water. I mean, I just laugh because I get this all the time, right? But that's because, again, it's like people still think the world is flat for crying. I mean, that's a metaphor. Well, I don't know, maybe some people do think the world's flat, but it's not. But go to Walmart, go to Kmart, go to the mall, go look at a picture of people on the beach in 1974 and look at in 2024. Do you really think diets are working, any of you? Go to church, go to work. I mean, it's crazy. It's out of control. You just show me any stupid diet where someone can lose 60 pounds in 3 months and have no loose skin. Or in Kristen's case, 21 pounds, 38 inches in 30 days. Well, I mean, you could say you think we're lying, but we don't have any incentive to lie. Here's why. We're giving you a free medical website right there, the New Health Conversation, with these published studies. They're in the public domain. They're irrefutable medical evidence. Not somebody give me an opinion. I mean, opinion is just ridiculous. It's just, this is why we're in such trouble. Because you're following people that are giving you opinions with no medical fact. They're trying to, sideswipe these other principles that don't apply to losing weight in the human body. Nobody, for example, here's another thing. No one's allowed to exercise. No one was allowed to exercise. None of these people exercise. Okay, so Jill Chestnut, I've had a couple of questions now. So what food do we eat again? All right, so here's what they did. And let's get some more likes. Let's get tapping on the screen. Okay, so here's what the researchers did. They put together food groups. First, organic foods from the United States, but she was limited only of all the food she ate in a month. Only 30% she bought from the grocery store. But the researchers put together these foods, which represented huge amounts of nutrition in smaller quantities: proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. Now, instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. Does this make sense, everybody? So it was like, okay, is it a half a cup of vegetables? How much carbohydrates, etc.? They laid all that out. And the researchers put together, it's called the Blueprint for Success, which is the guide they use for all the people in the studies. And all the yellows you see here are actually daily videos that you would get explaining to you exactly what to do, unless you want to keep doing keto or paleo and maybe lose a half a pound a week only to gain it all back, right? So that was 30% of what she consumed. The other 7 foods, nutrients, because there's no products here. Please understand, there are no products. This is food, right? But the other 70% of the food that she consumed wasn't sold by the researchers and not by us. You buy directly from the suppliers, okay? Directly from the suppliers. And these foods came from faraway exotic locations around the world in places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but very small quantities of food. So now they had the ingredients. You're all following me here? 30% of the food from the grocery store, you get a grocery list. The other 70% of the foods from around the world that you would buy directly from the suppliers, not from us, not from the researchers, okay? And then what they did, these researchers, they put together new ways of consuming food. So 5 days a week, listen to this, everyone. They had 4 meals a day. They started with these exotic foods from around the world. That was breakfast, lunch from the grocery store, list of foods, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner, these world's exotic foods. That's 5 days out of 7, 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted eating. On those days, nothing from the grocery store, only these foods from around the world, but this time they ate them 8 times a day. So she was eating every hour and a half these exotic foods from around the world, no food from the grocery store. Well, look at the results, everybody. That's 5 pounds a week for 3 months. Now, you can think it's Photoshop. Good. Then do keto or paleo or any of these stupid diets. None of them work long term. Now, let me give you some more evidence, okay? Because we're evidence-based, right? We don't give you opinions like people, oh, it's Newton's law. No, it's not. This is just silly. It's silly. Here's Medicare, okay? They're concerned because the healthcare costs now are spinning out of control. With 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, that's the least of it. They now estimate that the Center for Disease Control, 92% of you have what's called your metabolically, it's called metabolic syndrome or metabolic dysfunction. What does it mean in English? It means if you have 3 of these 5 factors, listen to me carefully, everybody. Are you overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high triglycerides? If you have 3 of those factors, you're metabolically unhealthy. In these studies, all 5 of those came down dramatically just in 30 days. No diet's ever produced anything like this. It's just silly. So again, let's read from the Medicare study what they said. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. That's Medicare saying this. Our researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out restricted diets to assess whether these diets are an effective treatment for obesity. These studies show that 2/3 of dieters regain more weight than they lost on any of these diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. This is Medicare telling you whatever diet you're on, it's a miserable failure. They're looking for a solution. Well, they obviously don't know about this. Now, here's another big study, the science behind why diets don't work. These are studies. These aren't people giving me opinions about Newton's law or thermodynamics. All nonsense, by the way, okay, when it comes to weight loss. So what they said here is, when we reviewed over 30 long-term studies on calories in, calories out, it showed that going on these diets actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. So you're all going, good luck on your diets because you're going to gain weight. 2/3 of you anyway. Do you see how crazy this whole thing has gotten? When, and people want to come on and they want to, name call instead of realizing that, no, that ship has sailed. Counting calories is over. It's finished. It's done. When even Harvard Medical School says stop counting calories, I listen, right? But let's talk about why calorie counting doesn't work, okay? The biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while calories in, calories out formula can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained and more. So again, what's the science say? Diets, see, you're all counting calories. That's the problem. And I'm still waiting. No. They aren't eating. You will drink those meals with dense nutritional shakes. Oh, good. Well, yes and no, AJ. Yeah, I mean, of course, but it's food. You're not buying supplements. I guess that's what my point is. I lost 30 kilos in 2020. Yep, it's all back now. I'm so depressed. Yeah, Jane Mayer, right? I consistently eat 800, 1,200 calories a day and still above 200 pounds. I'm stalled. Well, Shelley, you're proving my point. By the way, AJ, what day are you on and how well have you done so far? But also, you're also eating, there's somebody that's actually on, I'm just really curious about how she's doing, because I think she started almost a week ago. So do you have any updates for us? That's great, AJ. But again, yeah, when she says the products are food, though, you're buying food. That's my point. You're not buying a lotion, potion, pill, whatever it might be. Okay. Day 6 and great. Okay, so how was your weigh and measure? It would have been yesterday. Would have been Monday. So how did that go? If today's day, oh no, it was day 5 would have been yesterday. So share with us, how much have you lost? Oh, and Carrie, how much is the program? I guess the best way to think about it would be that 30%. So only 30% of what you spent last month, you spent at the grocery store. And then this, it's probably, I would say that's a fair estimate. It's about $100 a week, plus whatever 30% of whatever you spent last month. Most people think it's really, really affordable. Look at that, everybody. She lost 7 pounds in 5 days. And how, we already said, how do you feel, AJ? That's the most important thing. So again, here's proof positive of some, but imagine everybody, 7 pounds and actually it was on day 5. So really, AJ, that was 4 days. In 4 days, she lost 7 pounds. That's almost 2 pounds a day. Imagine, most of you are struggling to lose 1 pound a week. I didn't know that she was going to be on. She's someone that's doing the program, and obviously there's real up-to-date minutes. But how many of you would be excited if you could lose 7 pounds in 4 days, which is, that's more than a month on diets, right? Because most diets they tell you lose a pound a week. So isn't that just fantastic? And she feels great. That's the most important thing. Now let's take a look at Kristen here. So let's go over again. What did they do? So 30%, here's a better way to think about it. 30% of the food that she consumed came from the grocery store. Let's call it chewable food then, okay? Things like proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits, okay? That's chewable, but only 30% of what she ingested. And as AJ said, almost all the food that they use from these ancient sources from around the world were in liquid form, which is a much higher absorption than chewing, okay? But again, does it really matter? Look at the result. She lost 21 pounds, 38.75 inches in 30 days. And it looks like, AJ, you're well on your way. You're probably going to lose 20 pounds or more in a month. And AJ, you feel good, definitely have more energy. Can't believe the change in my skin. See? See, everybody? This is not, I didn't know she was going to come on. I mean, honestly. She was on one of my TikToks, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and she's getting coached and she's doing the protocol. So, I mean, it's really wonderful. But we only have 356 likes. Is that it, everybody? We need more taps on the screen to get more likes. So I'm really happy for all of you to be here today. And then look at Julie. That's actually, she lost 35 pounds in 37 days. So that's 7 pounds a week with no exercise. Look at her neck, shoulders, her stomach area, her legs. Look at how much she shrank. This is not photoshopped, it's real, because we have somebody on going through it right now. Well, I'd love to have a comment. How about 7 pounds in 5 days, any of you? 7 pounds in 5 days. What do you think about that? Now you can understand why these people, and then Curtis, this is really crazy. That's an older gentleman. He lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days. I mean, who does that with no exercise? Look at his stomach. But the big thing is look at his A1C. It went from 8.4 to 6.4. His triglycerides from 242 to 124. That's in 30 days. And then Andy here did even better. He lost 45 pounds and 60 inches in 30 days. His A1C went from 7.9 to 6.2. His LDL from 120 to 59. Now, the point is that none of these people were allowed to exercise. Now I'm going to show you someone who exercised, and this result is just crazy. This is, let me bring it up here. Hold on. I'm going to show you it's not a diet. So that's 11 days. So when it says day 5, that's the morning of day 5. So that's 4 days in. Like what AJ was talking about, her weight loss 7 pounds, actually in 4 days, because it was the morning of the 5th day, starting on the 5th day. So again, you can understand. So look at day 1, really good shape. By day 5, but then look at day 12. That's the morning of day 12. That's 11 days. The morning of day 12. Look at the change in the stomach area there. So it's not a diet. Now this person definitely exercised, no question about it. But I just wanted to show you, if you are an athlete and you exercise, that's what you can expect. So who else would like to ask me a question? Can we get some more taps on the screen? We're only at 357. So let's come back to the beginning. Now, the most important thing for all of you is that right there, right above her head, you can see it there, the New Health Conversation, the New Health Conversation. It's a free website where you can go. The only thing there is the medical proof. The only thing there is the medical proof. And those results are published there for you to see. And if you go there, we won't contact you. The only way we'll contact you is if you scroll down and you get a free coach. And the coaching's free. It says right above her head, free coaching. So the coaching isn't just initially. Now, why do you need coaching? Well, a number of reasons. Number one, we don't know anything about you. Do you know we have kids as young as 2 doing that? Well, my grandson started at 14 months. As soon as his mom started breastfeeding, he started to go on part of this protocol. Obviously not the whole thing at 14 months. We have a lady who's 91. We have a lady 80 years old. She's lost 91 pounds in about 9 months. And 9 months ago, she couldn't climb a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swimming 3 times a week, and walking 4 miles a day. We have people with no thyroids. We have a guy with a heart transplant. We have people with no gallbladders. We have people with kidney transplants. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or make any medical diagnosis whatsoever. We're not doing that. Don't hear me say that. That's not true. What we rely on, though, again, for the sensors, the only thing we're sharing with you is the medical proof. There are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies that you can go and see for yourself and see the results, etc. This is not some game. This is for real. Now, I think the sad part is that most of you are going to go back on whatever diet you're on right now because you can't believe that something like this exists. I know because I do 3 or 4 of these podcasts a day. We end up with cumulatively hundreds, if not thousands of people all around the world. And we're so brainwashed into thinking that it's paleo, it's keto, it's the celebrity diet, it's the shots. Now, again, I'm not against the shots, but let's talk about the shots for just a moment. The GLP-1s, okay? Ozempic, semaglutide, triazepam, whatever, okay? This is the New England Journal of Medicine, all right? It's a 68-week study, 68 weeks, okay? And I'm going to read from the study. There's nothing to make up because this is in the public domain. You can go look it up yourselves. They said this: after 68 weeks on semaglutide, the weight loss was 32 pounds, and right in the study they stated 40% of the 32 pounds was lean muscle mass. Now, we're not against the shots because they're helping diabetics and they're helping people who are morbidly obese, okay? But this is 68 weeks to lose 32 pounds. Well, she didn't get the memo. Look at that. She had to lose total 35 pounds. She lost 21 pounds of it in 38 inches. And when we say the inches, that's from her neck down, all kinds of different places on her, from her abdomen, her waist, her stomach, her thighs, her calves, etc. Okay, so just understand, not 38 inches off her waist. Although you can see how much her waist went down, that's 30 days with no exercise. Nobody in these pictures exercised. Now, why would that be? Because the researchers wanted to isolate exercise. Otherwise, you would have said, well, they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. That's what makes this so remarkable. Okay, bye, AJ. But anyway, the bottom line to all of you is the fact that you now have an opportunity to explore what they did, how they did it for free, and no one's going to contact you unless, well, you get to see it. If you like what you see, then you can scroll down and get a free coach if that's what you want to do. So let's come back up again. Let's go to, let's just take a look at, where's Julie? Oh, there's Julie. The thing I think that's so remarkable about that is you can really see the physiological changes in her body. Look at from her neck, shoulders, look at her waist, look at her legs. Now you can think it's Photoshopped. It's not Photoshopped, right? So who in the world would, are any of you interested in that? Would you like that result? Or are you happy losing a half a pound to a pound a week only to find out you're going to stall, you're going to come off the diet, and 2/3 you're going to gain more weight than you lost? But that's not even the big reason to do this, okay? The biggest reason to do this, and what this is, it's not a diet, it's a detox. Now, what probably you're not aware of, I have it, you have it, every person in the world, is this new medical syndrome. It's called TDOS. T for toxicity, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, S for stress. Yeah, I discovered it. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. That's a really big deal. So what it means is that we're drinking, we're eating, we're breathing chemicals. And if those chemicals enter our body, what our body does to protect us, it takes, well, first it presents it to the liver. But our livers are now so overwhelmed, they estimate 35 to 40% of you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Look it up, okay? What happens though, once the liver can't deal with the chemicals coming in your body anymore, the body's last line of defense is taking that chemical and stuffing it inside your visceral fat. See, people tell you burn fat. You know, you go on a diet, we're going to show you how to burn, we're going to burn fat, or we're going to exercise, burn fat. No, you're not. That's a total lie. You're born with the same number of fat cells. You die with the same number of fat cells. Now, they can expand or they can contract. Most people complain to us about the amount of weight they have. It's also about the amount of fat on their body. Well, in this case, at the end of, like, well, back to Kristen for a moment. At the end of 30 days, she lost no water weight and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise at all. But again, look at her stomach. There's your indication of the body detoxing. Now, how can I say that? The researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving that this was assisting the body in removing herbicides and pesticides and things like PCBs from the body, and the fat cells then shrank. If you thought of the fat cell like a balloon, as the chemical comes in, like air, the balloon expands. You all know you're experiencing it, that bloating, that flabbiness that you have around you. Now, if we go to Curtis here, an older gentleman, look at his stomach. That's 30 days with no exercise. Well, he lost 40 pounds. You can see his stomach is pretty much gone. How's that possible? Because he detoxed. You have to understand, you don't get away from this. It doesn't matter where you live, what you think. I'm eating clean. No, you're not. We're now breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants from China from 2 weeks ago, the lithium and the cadmium and all this stuff. The world we live in is a chemical world. Did you all, don't believe me, Google this if you didn't see it 4 weeks ago. They're now finding microplastics in our brains and in our coronary arteries. When they do a coronary bypass surgery, they're finding in the plaque, they're finding chips of plastic, micro, tiny. But what are we doing? What else do you think's in your body? I'll tell you what else is in your body. Herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants and all these chemicals we have in our modern world. The immune system doesn't know what to do with that stuff. So the body's doing its best by storing those chemicals in those fat cells. That's why you have all that loose skin. That's why you have all that. It was the case fasting 40s would give the same result. Ellen, absolutely 1,000,000% no. You're 1,000,000% wrong on that. If you go more than 22 or I know people do it for religious reasons, great. But from a medical standpoint of view, after about 23 hours, what your body will do, because you don't have any nutrition, it will begin to convert your muscles into fuel. Period. End of the story. Not up for debate. Okay? So what you're saying there is factually incorrect. Okay? I mean, it would not in any way. And you have to understand that when you lose lean muscle, you will slow down your metabolism. And also, just to let you know, you also really impact what? Your immune system. I know because my younger brother, I lost him in 2011 to kidney cancer. My brother was 6'4". And when my brother, in 8 months from the time he was diagnosed until he passed away, when he died, he weighed 115 pounds. Yeah, that was more than a 40-day fast. He barely could eat. And that's the problem with cancer. So many of the people, they waste away. They literally waste away. Because when they lose lean muscle, which is most of what they're losing, they slow down their immune system. So, don't come on with an opinion, okay? I'm sorry. I'm very particular about that. But it would not produce the same result. And I'm not against people if they want to do a 40-day water fast. I'm telling you biologically what's happening in the body. It's an impossibility. When you don't have enough nutrition, your brain will shut down, accessing the energy in your fat cells and turn to your muscles for fuel. Period. End of the story. Not up for debate. So, Susan Days. Okay, what else is we saying? So what's the answer? There is a natural cure for cancer. Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not saying that there isn't. But let's talk about, Susan, how do we get rid of toxins? Well, for example, last night, all of us, as long as we didn't eat too late, once you went to sleep, your body slows down or suspends digestion. When that happens, Susan, your body automatically turns on a natural detox mechanism. It's called autophagy. What does it mean? It means that's when the body is then capable of removing primarily dead cells and debris from our body, but not toxic chemicals. It's never been proven to do that. What the researchers essentially did was this. First and foremost, this was a detox, and it was around two principles. Our food doesn't have enough nutrition in order to empower our own body to create autophagy when we're awake. That's a simple way to think about it. So what the researchers did, they put together a food list. Only 30% of what they all consumed came from the grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But they were very specific, not calorie counting, but in the serving size and foods that were very high in nutrition, but small quantities of food. Got it so far? Then 2 days, so 5 days a week, they were eating, well, let me explain the other thing. Then the other 70% of the food they consumed came from ancient regions around the world, not ancient, but exotic regions around the world. And some of the nutrients that people were consuming actually came from areas of the world where people were living to be 100 years of age and pretty much didn't get sick based on the nutrition, not food per se, okay? And that's what, so 70% of what the food they consume came from places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. No herbicides, no pesticides, just massive amounts of nutrition in smaller quantities, okay? That's one of the secrets to these people living to be 100 years or longer, right? So then what the researchers did, based on these new ingredients, they put together two new protocols. 5 days a week, he and everybody else had 4 meals a day, starting with these exotic foods from around the world, okay, that came from these faraway regions. lunch from the grocery store list, that the researchers created that list that you would take to the grocery store, dinner from that grocery store list, and a fourth meal after dinner, these foods around the world. Then 2 days a week, here was the key. They had them have no food whatsoever from the grocery store, only these foods from these exotic locations. But this time, they were eating 8 times a day, and literally, not an opinion, through blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, they proved that this protocol was assisting the body's own natural detox mechanism to detox when people were awake. Not up for debate, not a claim like people say, oh, I'm doing a detox. You are? Where's the medical proof? There isn't any. It's all nonsense. This has the medical proof, and you get to go and see it if you want. That website above her head in blue there for everybody, you can go to Susan Das. I did a detox. What was the detox, Susan? I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm curious because this is the first one that's ever been put to the scrutiny of peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. So I'd really like to know which one that you did. I'm not saying it didn't answer. So Ellen, does that make sense? Well, anyway, Susan, when you get a chance, put it in there because I'm just really curious. And again, I'd say I lost 30 pounds. Okay, how long did it take? Well, I guess you did it in a month. Is that right? Was it about a month? Because I'm really curious. I really am. Because you got to understand, unless you do blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, it's interesting, but it has no proof in the medical world. I know. Hell, I've been doing this 23 years. I wrote 4 best-selling books, some of the top medical doctors in the world, did 20 shows on PBS, 1,500 live lectures around the world, and that didn't mean a damn thing in the medical world for 22 of my 23-year career. Why? Because there were no peer-reviewed human trial studies. Oh, 2 to 4 months. Okay, well, and again, Susan, do you know, were you able to do blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis? Was it done professionally? And is it published in any medical journals? Because if it isn't, it doesn't mean anything in the medical world. And also, it took you 2 to 4 months. I mean, she lost 60 pounds in 3 months. I mean, Kristen lost 21 pounds in just 30 days. So again, I'm happy for you. But again, not the same as this, not even in the same zip code. And the reason that it's so different, Susan, it has 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies behind it. See, the problem would be if you try to present this in the medical world, because I did that, if you don't have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it means nothing. It's just chatter, even though you felt in your own body and you did lose 30. But look at how long it took you. And you don't understand that up to 40% of what you lost was lean muscle mass, whether you believe it or not, which is, by the way, you've slowed down your metabolism. And to recover the metabolism you lost by doing that, it's going to take you anywhere from 1 to 8 years, just to let you know. Again, I'm just giving you the research. I'm not giving you an opinion. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm happy for you that you did that. But it's like you dug the Panama Canal with a spoon. And it's nowhere near this, and it doesn't have any medical proof behind it. Because without medical proof, it doesn't mean anything. Look, we're in a world now where 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Every disease statistic out of control. Thank God we have these drugs. It would even be worse. Do you know we spend 4 times what the rest of the world does on sick care, and yet we have about the 100th outcome? So whatever we're doing is definitely not working. And again, if you relied on regular food, it starts out being almost nutritionally bankrupt. That's not my opinion. Go and Google nutrients in food and how much they've decreased in the last 50 years. That's what's going on. So who else would like to? It was only fat and I'm healthy. Okay, Susan, let's talk about that. Let me explain something to you, Susan. There's no such thing as losing fat. Let's start right with that. That's complete bogus. Google fat. You're born with a certain amount of fat. You die with a certain amount of fat. You didn't lose 1 fat cell. Let me explain that to you. So don't tell me it was mostly fat. That's a medical impossibility. Your fat cells may have shrank, but you didn't lose any fat cells. So number 1, that's factually completely inaccurate. So let's just go with that starting out, okay? So if you think you lost fat, you didn't. And again, it's not like I'm trying to be argumentative. This is the medical proof, for crying out loud. I get this all the time. People come on and they're nice people and they want to give me opinions. I did opinions for 22 years. It didn't turn out because nobody in the medical world would take it seriously because there was no medical proof. And when you see statements like that, Oh, well then fine. But Susan, do you understand that what you were saying, it's not fat. No, that's not true, okay? It's not fat. And if it's your secret, and if you're happy, that's all that matters. It's just that it's not this. It's not even close to this. It took you 2 to 4 months to lose what she lost. I mean, she ended up losing 35 pounds in about 7 weeks. Just like Julie did that. She lost 35 pounds in 37 days. And they measured, and instead of reducing lean muscle, she increased lean muscle 6 to 9%, and her visceral fat, the fat in her body, in 8 weeks with no exercise, shrank by 33%. That was measured medically. I'm not saying you're arguing with me. I'm just, again, I'm a researcher. See, science doesn't have any emotions like me. It doesn't have an agenda. But when you say something like, it was mostly fat, no, it wasn't. Sorry. It's just, this is where we are as a world. Otherwise, if any of these things work long term, any diet you all want to put in the chat, any diet, how do we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and it's getting worse? Johns Hopkins Medical School, I know I have it here somewhere. I'll find it in a minute or two. Every one of these diets, here it is. Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. Does that sound like things are working long term? It's out of control, everybody. And yet people dig their heels in and they want to tell me about their diets and how I don't know what I'm talking about. It's about thermodynamics, it's about physics, about Newton's law. No, it's not. It's just not, I'm not talking about you, Susan. I'm talking about someone else earlier that wanted to argue with me about that, and it convinced me. Well, they don't have any medical proof. That's the first problem. It's just a joke otherwise. Mama Nanette, hello. Rob Frost, hello. Jason, Amaya, hello. So would anybody else like to ask me a question about how in the world did she do that? Or more importantly, how did Kristen lose 21 pounds, 38 inches in just 30 days with no exercise? And it's food, okay? It was done with food, developed by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world who'd done 100 studies, thousands of people over 40 years of research. And they're the ones that invented this, not us. It's not my system. You don't buy anything from us. You don't buy anything from the research. You're buying food, basically. You're buying food. It's not some lotion, potion, pill, magic, whatever. We just had a lady on earlier. In 4 days, she's already down 7 pounds. And I believe she wanted to lose something like, I think 40 pounds, maybe something like that. So imagine she had lost almost 20% of what she wanted to lose in the first 4 days. But it's across the board. When you look at this gentleman, that's 10 pounds a week, 52.5 inches. But that's not the good part of his story. Look at his lab work. How about his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4? How about his triglycerides, 242 to 124 in 30 days with no exercise? Is that just amazing? Okay, so both Salmon's Heart, yes, what, how? Brookville, Salmon's Heart, Brookville came on twice. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you all again. So just take a deep breath, everybody. It's going to take a minute or two for me to explain it. This is not some simple explanation. If you want that, there's plenty of people that'll show you how to do keto or paleo or Mediterranean, none of which work long term. This is backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. So how was it developed? The researchers had done 40 years of research on diets, thousands of people. They concluded that all the approaches to dieting were based around some form of counting calories. The problem with that, the human body has no idea what a calorie is. While you're counting them, it's ridiculous. The only thing your body cares about, what we all, in order to be alive, we have a certain amount of nutrition that we need in order for us to be healthy, because it's the nutrition, not calories, that run all your organs, brain, kidney, liver, heart, etc. Okay? So the researchers realized that what a diet really is, think about this for a moment, everybody, is it's based on reducing the quantity of food you're consuming. Have they ever told you, have they ever mentioned that when you go on a diet and lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're lowering the amount of nutrition? Now, why is that so bad? Because the brain, when there's not enough nutrition to run all the organs, it goes in starvation mode, survival. It thinks you're starving to death, because from a nutrition standpoint, you are. So the first thing it does, the brain, it stops accessing energy in your fat cells, okay? Then Now we're really in a bad spot. Now what do we do for energy? Well, the body then goes to your muscles and begins to break your muscles down because that's what happens to survival mode. But the problem with that, it creates two of the most unhealthy situations you could ever occur. So these diets are going on because up to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle. You're making yourself unhealthy, whether you know it or not. So what happens when you don't have enough fuel and the body begins to convert your muscles, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in these diets. That's why you come off the diet, you get everything back. And then the other thing it does by losing lean muscle, it slows down your metabolism, your immune system. So these very diets you're on, I know it's summer, everybody's excited, you're making yourself unhealthy in the long run, okay? So the research has said we need to change things up. Can we not worry about the quantity of food? We're going to give you less food, but we want to search out food sources that strictly are based on their nutritional content. Got it? Not calories, nothing to do with calories, nothing to do with volume, only to do with enough nutrition. So they created a grocery list that she and everybody I've showed you so far got. Only 30% of what she consumed came from the grocery store. She literally had a shopping list. She went to the grocery store. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But instead of giving her calorie counts, they give her serving sizes like, okay, let's say 4 to 6 ounces of protein or half a cup of carbohydrates, whatever it was. You'll get all that and get to see it. But only 30% of what she consumed and purchased in a month came from her grocery store. Everybody got that? The other 70% came from these food groups or nutrients from around the world that these other researchers had found in places like Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but small amounts of quantity of food, if that makes sense. Now, by the way, the researchers don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They don't have any products. We don't sell you anything. So you're either buying 30% of your food from the grocery store, from your own grocery list that you would have, and then 70% from these foods from around the world, and you buy directly from them. One of the reasons this is so affordable, there's no middleman. You're not buying it through somebody else. You're buying it directly from the suppliers, right? And then, now they have the ingredients. Now what do they have to do? They have to figure out, okay, a new recipe, let's call it that for lack of a better term. So 5 days a week, they did something completely new called protein pacing, where 5 days a week, she and everybody else had 4 meals a day. Imagine that on a diet. Starting with these exotic foods from around the world, lunch came from the grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner, excuse me, from these exotic foods from around the world. So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricted. On those days, no food from the grocery store at all. Only these foods from these exotic foods around the world. But this time they let her eat, ready for this, everybody? 8 times a day. She was having something every hour and a half. Now, if there's diabetics on here, the diabetics thrived on this. They didn't have insulin spikes because this was dense nutrition in very small amounts of food by quantity. Quantity of food, but not quantity of nutrition, right? And there are the results. I mean, that's real. She lost 5 pounds a week in 38 inches. She went on to lose 35 pounds in about 7 weeks, but she only had 35 pounds to lose. Look at her hips. Look at her stomach. Look at that. That's not fake. She's not holding anything in. And then when you look at Julie, everybody, look at that in 37 days. That is 35 pounds. But look at her from her neck, her arms, her stomach. Look at her legs. Look at how much she shrank. Unless you think it's fake. It's not fake. It's not Photoshop. That is real. By the way, no one was allowed to exercise. What? Well, the researchers didn't want exercise to be part of this because then people would have said, well, of course they lost weight because it was diet and exercise. No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with diet and exercise. It was totally different. And then if you look at, if we look at Andy here, it's a younger guy. How about 45 pounds and 60 inches in a month, in 30 days? Now, you think that's a big part of his story. Look at his lab work. Look at his A1C. It went from 7.9 to 6.2, but his bad cholesterol, 120 to 59 in 30 days, not 30 weeks. And of course, if you look at, back to Kristen for a minute, but even better than that, this is the daughter of a friend of mine. It's the same woman. It's not Photoshopped. It's not AI. She really lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Now, have any of you ever seen anything like this? I mean, if you were honest, any of you, I'm not saying you're not, but if you wanted to lose just 20 pounds on any diet you're on right now, pick any trainer, any gym, any celebrity endorsement, whatever you want to do, How long would you give yourself to lose 20 pounds? Because we just had a lady earlier, she lost 30 pounds. It took her 2 to 4 months. I mean, it's just a joke. It's like, what? 2 to 4 months. At 4 months, that means she lost about 7.5. That's again, it's back. See, on all these diets, at the end of the day, you boil it down. It's 1.5 pounds a week. That's about what it turns out to. All these people were, well, her five. That's 5 pounds a week for 3 straight months. I know you're having trouble wrapping your mind around this, and you're skeptical. I get it, because almost all of you will go back to whatever diet you were on before this. And yet, this is the only protocol in the world with 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies proving everything I'm talking about. We're not making claims. We don't need to make claims. I mean, the great news is that website right above our head. You can see it there, the New Health Conversation in blue. See it? It's free to go there. And if you go there, there's nothing to buy. There's just the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 nutrition weight loss physiologist in the world, who he and his team invented this. And in the interview, he talks about the fact this is why diets are finished. He literally said they'll never, ever recommend to any patient ever again any form of traditional diet. He said it would be unethical. He said, why would we put people on a diet for 8 weeks to lose lean muscle mass when people on this can lose that much weight safely in a week? But most of you are going to go and torture yourself. You're going to go and you're going to count calories. You're going to weigh your food. You're going to do carb recycling. You're going to do this ridiculous macros. That's just total, not just nonsense, because it doesn't take into account, even with your best intentions, with the best organic food in North America, that food you're consuming, whether you do macros or not, is almost nutritionally bankrupt. That's why these researchers had to go, well, they didn't find it, but other researchers have gone around the world to find food sources where there was still huge amounts of nutrition in the food, like there used to be in this country 100 years ago. That's not true today. Why do you think you're so hungry all the time? It's not for calories. It's for nutrition. Do you know right now, so you think, oh, it's just an American problem. No. The Lancet, the largest medical journal in the world, just completed a study in 2024. They now estimate 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, and they went on to say, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. What? Yeah, because they said people aren't getting the right amount of nutrients, minerals, botanicals, and elements necessary to maximize their quality of life. I'm going to make all of you mad. See, you think, I'll tell you right now, you have no idea how bad you actually feel because you don't understand how good you could feel. And with your best intentions, organic, keto, paleo, Mediterranean, eat right, measure, do what, it doesn't work long term. I mean, even Medicare said that. Medicare, they're trying to bring healthcare costs down. So they did a huge review of studies. Listen to this. Medicare's search for effective obesity treatments. Diets are not the answer. Our researchers reviewed studies of long-term outcomes of calories in, calories out diets to assess whether these diets are an effective treatment for obesity. The studies show that 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost on their diets. In summary, there's little support for the notion that diets lead to lasting weight loss or health benefits. What are you doing, everybody? That's Medicare telling you diets don't work. Maybe you need, well, what are you going to do? No, seriously, what are you going to do? It doesn't matter. They looked at study after study. Paleo, keto, nobody was keeping the weight off. As a matter of fact, 2/3. So let's say you lost 30 pounds on a diet. They're gaining back 35 or 40. So now what do you do? See, there's where you are. There's the dilemma you're in today. Not believing this. I get it. I understand you're skeptical. But all I'm telling you is this. Why are you following influencers or information with no medical backup behind it? Why are you doing that? I'm just asking the question. Why are you doing that? It makes no sense. So Sean, hello, Angelica, Jojo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, XY, hello, Forever, Lie, 209, and Diamond Sandry. And we're stuck at 367 likes, that's it? You don't think this information is valuable? Tap on the screen if you like the content. Let's get, all you do is tap on the screen on your cell phone. That's it. Just tap on the screen and the likes hopefully will go up. But again, who else would like to ask me a question? Oh, there we go. There's some hearts. Thank you all very, very much. Who else would, look, but I want you all to understand right above our head, see it there, the New Health Conversation. It's a free medical website for you to go and see the medical proof. It's right there. We don't have anything to hide. And if you go to that website, we're not going to contact you. if we had to convince and sell people, there wouldn't be enough hours in the day. We let the medical proof do the speaking for us. And then, and you notice right above, free coaching. How do you get free coaching? Scroll down, get a free coach. And the coach is there the whole time. Now, why do we have coaches? Because we don't know anything about you. We have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have a lady 91. We have a lady 80, lost 91 pounds in about 9 months. 9 months ago, she couldn't climb a flight of stairs. Now she's playing pickleball 3 times a week, swimming 3 times a week, walking 4 miles a day. We have people with no thyroids. We have people with a guy with a heart transplant. We have people with no gallbladders, people with kidney transplants. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or making any medical diagnosis whatsoever. We're not doing any of that. We don't need to. All we're doing is sharing with you, and they're on the website. You can go and see the medical studies. You can see the breakdown of the medical studies. And what you have to understand, this is what's called irrefutable medical proof. You know, there's a lot of people that come on here, and I'm sure they're nice people, and they want to give me opinions. But they don't have any medical proof. They're giving me an opinion. And we're now in a world where we're in a disaster. We're talking about in 4.5 years, they're estimating nearly 90% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Seriously, anybody put it in the chat. Does that sound like diets are working? So Deborah Brown, you joined. Thanks, Deborah. You were Posing Shrimp. You were on, I'll never forget that website. You were on a couple days ago. I think you were anyway. So who else would like to ask me a question? Oh, you're back, the Posing Shrimp. Hello and welcome. Oh, there you are. You're in the #1 position. I don't even know what that means. It's probably good, though. But again, let's get some more taps on the screen. We only have 377 likes. Come on. I've had 27,000. So either I suck this morning. I don't know what's going on. Well, it may not be morning for all of you. It's 7:16 here in Denver, Colorado. We're broadcasting live around the world, which is really phenomenal. Hello, Marion. Hello, Miss MM. There we go. Now we're getting some more taps. Come on, everybody. All you do is tap on the screen if you like the content. If you don't like the content, don't tap. It's real simple. It's pretty straightforward. But come on, let's get some more taps on there. But look at this. This is the friend. I'm sorry, this is my friend's daughter. Look at her face. Look at her arms. Look at her midsection. Assuming you don't think it's photoshopped or AI, which it's not. But she lost 60 pounds in 3 months. Who would like to comment about that? Very interested in learning and giving it a try. Thank you. Oh, good, Brooke. So do you understand, Brookville? Here, let me put it right underneath you again. This is where you go to sign up, the new health conversation. And Brooke, do you understand generally this is not a diet? Do you understand that, it wasn't like I was trying to argue with other people, but you have to understand, I'm sure you would agree, if we're looking at almost 90% of America overweight in 4.5 years, that something's wrong. Something's not working. Brooke, would you agree we have more diets than we've ever had before? I mean, go to Barnes & Noble. It'll make your head spin. Now, again, Brooke, understand, when you go to the website, we're not going to contact you. Hopefully you get that. And if you like what you see, scroll down, and then you get a free coach. Okay? Does that make sense? And Brockville, have you found this to be, well, obviously you must have found it interesting if you're going to really check it out. And we want to make it hassle-free for everybody. Even when you get your free coach, they're not there to convince you or sell you. They're there to answer questions. They'll get you the grocery list of what you buy from the grocery store, and they'll show you how to buy directly from the suppliers who supply these other foods to the studies. That's what really matters, okay? So user 101, hello. Who else came on here? Lots of hearts. Oh, we're at 1,000. Come on, let's keep tapping, everybody. I have to keep reminding people of that. But the only way that this content can grow and to help so many people around the world is if look, you can send any of your friends to that website. They don't have to be on the podcast. They can go to the website for free. As a matter of fact, let me just show all of you. Here is the website. You'll see I'm not making up. There's nothing to buy on there. Those modules are all instructional. Like #1 is an interview with the #1 nutritional research physiologist in the world who has no products to sell. They don't have a company, but he's explaining to you why this works. And #2 is a more detailed explanation of what do they do on a daily basis. 3, the actual research studies. In other words, these studies, you can physically see them. You can click on the link, it'll take you to the study. And then 4 are more before and after pictures. You'll see people that lost 100 pounds, no loose skin. There's no gimmicks, there's no trick. There's no buy button on that website. The only way we can get a hold of you is if you scroll down and request a free coach. And the coaching's free the whole time, no gimmicks. It's not like, hey, we'll coach you we'll get you started, and then like it's $100 a month or something. No, we're not doing any of that nonsense. I know it's too good to be true, and I know you're skeptical, and I just would really encourage you, if that's the right word. Here's the thing: why wouldn't you go check out the medical proof? Do you not believe in scientific proof? You want opinions? Because I'm against the entire social media. I get it. Because every person out there, they're all giving you stories. Nice people, doctors, chiropractors, dietitians, nutritionists, fitness trainers, weight loss people, health coaches. But have they ever showed you one shred of medical evidence? One shred? You're entrusting your health to them with no proof? Really? Is that a good strategy? I don't think so. So user 101, hello. Nina Federau, hello. Oh, we're at 1,300 likes. Come on, let's keep tapping on that screen, everybody. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to put it in the chat down below also. This is the free website where you can all go to. It's totally free. The New Health Conversation. Okay, hold on just a second. It should post. There it is. You can see it right there. I want to make sure I spelled it right. I did. The New Health Conversation. You'll notice above it's the New Health Conversation @ That's my TikTok. But this website, to go there, no spaces. Just the New Health Conversation, just be clear. When you go there, we won't contact you. We don't do that. But if you like what you see, scroll down and you can get a free coach for the whole time to teach. Because you know what the key to this is? Maintenance. It's not a question, by the way, that picture you're looking at there is 9 years ago. She's kept the weight off for 9 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. How's that sound? Pretty good? So who else would like to ask a question? We're now at, wow, a little bit over an hour. That's great. Time flies when you're having fun. We're at 1,600 likes. Come on, let's keep those taps coming on that computer screen to get those likes. Oh, 1,700. Thank you all very much. And if you like this content, I do at least 3 of these podcasts a day live. They're all live, and none are pre-recorded. I mean, on my site, I've got pre-recorded. I think I have 1,200 videos on the New Health Conversation, which is my TikTok site. But those are pre-recorded. This is live. This is not. It's not an infomercial. It's a podcast, a medical podcast, only filled with medical proof and facts. And I think the thing that's so enlightening is the fact. Here's the medical definition of why counting calories, which is every kind of diet you're on, can't work. Period. They say this: the biggest failing of the calories in, calories out formula is it ignores that the body adjusts its control system when calorie intake is reduced. So while the formula, calories in, calories out, can support people achieving weight loss initially, the reduction in energy intake ensures the lost weight will be regained and more. So every one of these studies is saying that whatever diet you're on right now, 2/3 of you, not only are you going to go back to where you started, but 2/3 are going to weigh more than when they started. So let's say you lost 30 pounds. According to the studies, you're going to end up gaining back 35. And then you're going to be, oh, that diet didn't work. I'm going to go on another diet. Then you lose the weight and it comes back. That's why you keep inching up every year. The whole system is wrong. It doesn't work. I'd love for anybody to show me a diet they think works long term. It doesn't. Wow, we're at 2,000 likes. Great, everybody. Mark Teglia. Hello, Mark. Who? Me join. Who question? Oh, you were. Who question mark me join? You were on yesterday. I think I'm almost positive that you were. So you came back. Great. Thanks for coming back. So I think the thing again. Let's review for everybody. Go to a lot of new people that came on and keep tapping on that screen while I'm talking. Okay. So how did she do this? I mean, 5 pounds a week, basically 38 inches in 30 days. Okay. So the researchers who invented this are considered the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the whole world, the #1 people. And they did 40 years of studies, 100 studies, thousands of people improved to themselves. Diets don't work. There's no diet that they ever did where long-term, not only did people not keep the weight off, but 2/3 gained more than they lost. And the principle of dieting, you're being all told today, is completely wrong. It's some form of counting calories, and I've waited all this podcast for anybody to give me the definition of a calorie. I've had 2 people get it right in a year. 23 years ago, I didn't know what a calorie was either. And yet you're counting calories and you don't even know what they are. Well, the problem is your body doesn't count calories, doesn't know what a calorie is, and you're never hungry for calories, okay? Your body has a minimum amount of nutrition that it runs on, okay? That's a given. But when you go on a diet and lower, all a diet is what? You're reducing the amount of food you're consuming, but they don't tell you, you're also reducing nutrition. When your brain senses not enough nutrition, it stops accessing the fuel in your fat cells and turns to your muscles for fuel, and then does 2 of the most unhealthy things to you. 1, it slows down your metabolism. It's not up for debate. That's what happens. And so that's why you lose weight initially on these diets, and then it slows to a trickle, then you plateau, then you give up and go off and gain all the weight back and go on another diet. But the worst part about losing lean muscle mass on all these diets, in the studies, 25 to 40% of what you're losing is lean muscle. So let's say you lost 20 pounds. 5 to 8 pounds of that is lean muscle. It's not some gimmick, okay? That's what's happening. Well, the problem with that is when you lose lean muscle, your body doesn't have a choice. Not only does it slow down your metabolism, it slows down your own immune system. So you're literally making yourself unhealthy by going on these diets. That may shock you. Okay? I'm a nutritional researcher for 23 years. 5 best-selling books, 20 shows on PBS, 1,500 live lectures around the world. And for 22 of the 23 years, that meant in the medical world, 0. Why? There were no peer-reviewed human trial studies. There's 10 of them on this protocol, which I didn't invent. We're explaining to you what they did. We didn't invent it. So the researchers said we need to do something different. Instead of focusing on calories, let's focus just on nutrition. So they set out to be in a position where people could consume less food by volume, by quantity, but they wanted to seek out new food combinations that would have maximum amounts of nutrition in the least amount of food. So they developed a grocery list, which she got. 30% of the foods that she consumed came from your grocery store. You actually would get the grocery list that you would go shopping. Proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruits. But only 30%, and not based on calories. They gave her and they give you serving sizes. Very important. So don't think about the quantity. That has nothing to do with it. It only has to do with the quality, how much nutrition is in the food you're consuming. So 30% she bought from the grocery store. The other 70% she bought from these suppliers, not the people who created this, because they don't have a company, they don't have any products, they're scientists. But these other elements or nutrients, whatever, came from around the world. They came from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand, and they represented huge amounts of nutrition, but very small quantities of food. And some of the nutrients were in areas of the world where people living to be 100 years old and longer and basically don't get sick. Makes sense. See, if you could give your body the nutrients it really needs, you'd massively increase your what's called quality of life, your health potential, right? Anyway, they had now 30% of the food from the grocery store, 70% from these exotic foods around the world. Then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food. 5 days a week, she had 4 meals a day. She started with these exotic foods around the world. That was breakfast, no food from the grocery store. Lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and a 4th meal after dinner from these exotic foods around the world. So 5 days a week, she was having 4 meals a day. That's called protein pacing. 2 days a week, she did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, don't hear the word fasting. It's not fasting. It's not water fasting. It's not time restricted eating. On those days, no food from the conventional grocery store and only these foods from around the world. But this time, they had her eating 8 times a day. Yep, about every hour and a half. Now, the diabetics on this thrived. They didn't have insulin spikes. As a matter of fact, in the first 30 days, diabetics across the board saw their insulin come down 41% in a month. Unheard of. Monitored by their doctors, not by their researchers. Look at the results. I mean, look at her hips and her stomach. Look at how much she shrank. Now, there's a reason for that. And it's because you and me and everybody have this medical syndrome called TDOS, toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, overweight, and stress. Yeah, and I did discover it. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Really big deal. So in the studies, what they did, the researchers, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving that this protocol was assisting the body in removing chemicals. See, people come on and said, I did a detox. And then they go, well, they don't have any medical proof, of course. That doesn't matter. That's just nonsense, okay? I'm sorry. You maybe thought you were detoxing, but without without the medical proof, it doesn't mean anything. So first and foremost, the reason that she shrank and we the other people shrank is because when the chemical enters your body, well, the body first presents it to the liver, the biggest filter. But right now our livers are so overwhelmed, they estimate 35 to 40% of you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that's not from drinking alcohol. So what they did, they proved in a month's time that the inflammation in the body, which is the underlying cause of everything, went down 25% in a month. But when they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, I was making the point, they proved that this was, they measured herbicides, pesticides, Scotchgard, Teflon coming out of the body. And that's why she shrank. Because what the body does is you ingest these chemicals that we can't avoid. The body, once the liver can't handle it, that's what I was talking about where the liver's overwhelmed now, the body then, because now the toxins don't go to the liver anymore. The liver's no vacancy, can't hold any more chemicals. The body then, as a last resort, takes the chemical and stuffs it in your fat cells. That's why so many complain to us is not just how much weight they've gained, but the amount of fat on their body, especially around the midsection. Well, look at her midsection. That's not Photoshop. That's real with no sit-ups. Nobody was allowed to exercise. And then you look at someone like Julie. Look at that in 37 days, 35 pounds. Her whole body shrank. It's the same woman. It's not Photoshop. That is 37 days. Notice we said 37 days. We were that specific. It wasn't, 4 weeks or it's a little over 5 weeks. But I'd love for anybody to comment. What do you think about that picture? Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's AI? Do you think we Photoshopped it? Because we didn't. That's absolutely the real outcome. So Ama, Becky B, Misty, and Bully Blue. Bully Blue Giants. You've been on. Thank you for being on my. I've seen you on my TikTok feed. You apparently like a lot of my. Those are my. What do I want to call them? Those are pre-recorded, I guess you could say. My information. Well, thanks for joining us. Theo joined. Anti-Pad joined. Bully Giants. And sure. Now, Bully Blue, I'm just curious. Have you had a chance to go to the website and look at the medical proof? I think you've probably seen this before, but let me put it in here just in case for all of you, but also for Bully Blue Giants, those big dogs. The new health conver. So everyone, this is the free website. Let me make sure I spelled it right. The New Health Conversation. Yeah, I did. Okay, I'm going to post it right there at the bottom of the chat. You all can see now. To go to the website, there's no spaces. The New Health Conversation. You'll notice above the New Health Conversation, which is a registered trademark. That is my TikTok. That's my TikTok. But if you want to see the medical proof, go to the New Health Conversation with no spaces. I'll show you again here above her head in blue, the New Health Conversation, no spaces. And you notice free coaching. Any of you are welcome to go there. If you go there, we will not contact you. I promise. We will not contact you. We don't do that. But if you're really interested and want to know how did he lose 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days? That's almost 11 pounds a week. What's 10.2? Okay, sorry. 10.2 pounds a week. Let's not quibble. I mean, how many of you would be excited to lose 10 pounds in a month or 2 months? I know it seems unreal to all of you. I get it. I understand you're skeptical. But here's what I would say to you. Just because it was never invented, just because it was never figured out, doesn't mean it was impossible. I mean, how does GPS work? How are we on this right now? How am I in my studio here and I'm broadcasting all over the world from my computer? What? How's that possible? There's no wires hooked up. The only thing plugged into my computer is the charger, and somehow it's going out there all around the world, because we got people watching this podcast around the world. It amazes me. It's 2:00 in the morning in some places, and they're still watching this podcast. So who else would like to ask me a question? Gone565, hello. Sharon C. Doug, hello. Let's see, Anti-Pad, hello. God sent, followed from live creator. Cool. So again, Wow, we got 3,000 likes. I took my eye away and we went up. So again, if you like the content, please tap on this because I'm going to go about another 20 minutes or so. And look, the point is, this is live. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of getting your questions answered. And if I'm open, but if you want to have a discussion, as long as there's no name calling, it's not necessary. Science doesn't care about me. And the only thing we're relying on is medical peer-reviewed studies. And people come on and they want to give me opinions, and I'm sure they're nice people, and they think what they're telling me has any merit in the medical world. It doesn't. Unless you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it doesn't mean anything. You'll hear, oh, they have a scientific paper. The biggest scam you see on TV is when they say, well, wait, this contains a scientifically proven ingredient. That's such a scam, and I'll tell you why. When you analyze, which I've done, or other people have done with me, when we look at, let's say, one of these supplements that they have on TV, and yeah, they have they have that ingredient that's been scientifically tested, but the amount in the capsule, you'd have to take about 1,000 capsules a day to have any impact. I mean, we're just being hoodwinked. We're just being convinced. That's why peer-reviewed human trial studies are so important. Because again, if whatever they're advertising on TV, if it was really that good, they'd have peer-reviewed human trial studies. Now, why don't they do it? Because when you do your study and submit it to these big medical journals, like in the case Nature Communications, where one of these studies was published, is the #1 medical journal in the world, they have one job. Whatever you're presenting to them, they don't analyze it. They send it to other world-class experts. That's what the term peer review means. And those experts, medical doctors and scientists in this case, they have only one job. You know what the job is? To discredit, disprove what you're claiming. Makes sense. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. And yet you're following all these influences and not showing you one shred of, they're giving you an opinion. They're not showing you any medical proof, and yet you're following them. And you're doing paleo, keto, Mediterranean. None of them work long term. I mean, it's so absurd. Big study, why you shouldn't count calories. This is not my opinion, everybody. Listen to what these researchers said. Our researchers found that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse, 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. Counting calories increases chronic psychological stress and cortisol production, 2 factors that are known to cause weight gain. Now, you're probably mad at me. You think somehow your diet's going to work and you're going to keep the weight off. But the scientific proof says, no way, it's not happening. We're getting bigger and bigger and more unhealthy every single year. And thank God we have more and more drugs to deal with it. But is that really the solution in the long term? I read earlier today, and I'm not against the shots, these GLP-1s, semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, triepazide, whatever. But we're scientists. We only share medical proof that's in the public domain. So you can go look this up. This is the New England Journal of Medicine, the title, once weekly semaglutide in adults with overweight or obese. They did a 68-week study, okay? 68 weeks. That's a year and 4 months. Save you the math. And what did they find? This is I'm reading from the study. After 68 weeks, people lost 32 pounds. And of the 32 pounds they lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. And they went on to say, this is clinically relevant reduction in body weight. 32 pounds in 68 weeks. She didn't get the memo because she lost 21 pounds in a month. And the shots are helping diabetics and people that are morbidly obese, but compared to this, really? Which one would you do with no side effects? And this is food. It's not a shot. It's not some pill. It's food. Am I getting through to all of you? Do you understand? Somebody put a yes. Do you get it? Do you like this content? Do you believe that there's something different than counting calories? And counting calories are dead. They don't work. It's never worked. Never, ever, ever. Here's another big study. The science behind why diets don't work. Our researchers reviewed more than 30 long-term studies, calories in, calories out, showing that going on a diet of calories in, calories out actually causes weight gain. The more diets someone has tried, the more they weigh. So not only does dieting not work for long-term weight loss, but it's also associated with increased risk of binge eating, eating disorders, and long-term weight gain. What are you doing? Why? Why are you doing it? Is it just me or am I just crazy? I'm not crazy. I mean, here's another big study. This one, listen to this one. 80 weight loss clinical trials. The authors, the researchers compared different forms of calorie reduction diets. They found that on any calorie reduction diets, people lost weight initially. Notice the wording, initially. But every person's weight steadily rose back to where it was and beyond. So essentially, you're going on a diet to, well, 2/3 of you to gain weight. Did you know that? That's a really good strategy for losing weight. You're going to gain the weight first so that then you can lose it again. You know the yo-yo you've all been on or you're about to be on. Do you believe in science? That's what it really comes down to. I mean, 550 years ago, about the smartest people in the world said what? The world's flat. And I believe that's where we are now. And they're well-intended people. I see them on social media. They got fancy degrees, they're writing on whiteboards. But why don't they have any medical proof for you? Why are you following people that are giving you opinions without any facts? So, how to lose the weight, please. I'm going to explain it to you in 1 second. What is this, please? Wow, what are you doing? Crazy, not replying. You mean me? I'm crazy, not replying? Can you explain, please? Okay, here are the J's. I promise I'm going to do it right now. Here's what they did, the researchers who invented this. They're the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. They had 40 years of studies, over 1,000 people. And here's what they found. Diets are miserable failures because a diet is based on some form of counting calories. Your body doesn't know what a calorie is. Your body only works on nutrition. And what you do on a diet, when you reduce the amount of food you're consuming, that's what a diet is, you're reducing nutrition. When that happens, your brain figures out there's not enough fuel to run all your internal systems, your organs, and then it converts your muscles into fuel. And the first thing it does, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you're plateauing on these diets. That's why you're coming off, gaining everything back. But worse, you also are slowing down your own immune system. So the researchers did this. They said, wait a minute. We need to figure out, can we find foods that they don't sell? They have no company. They don't have any products. This isn't a product. Foods with huge amounts of nutrition, but not large amounts of quantity. So you'd get the same thing, all of you asking me, you'd get a grocery list. 30% of what she consumed and you consume, you'd buy from your grocery store, organic, proteins, fats, carbs, vegetables, and fruit, but which is what's different. Instead of giving her calorie counts, they gave her serving sizes. You would get this. It would tell you, okay, how much protein? Is it a cup or half a cup of vegetables, for example? But remember, it's not about the quantity, it's about what's in the food. But only 30%. Now here's the key. The other 70% that you would buy comes from these other suppliers, not from us, not from the people who created this, but these suppliers had gone around the world for 20 years and found areas that had huge amounts of nutrition in small quantities of food and areas where people were living to be 100 years old and didn't get sick. And where did they find these exotic foods? In Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. They had searched the world for over 20 years, bringing this stuff back. You can't buy it at your grocery store, okay? So 30% from your grocery store, 70% from these foods around the world. Then they created 2 new ways that you would learn about how to do this. 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day. You heard me. You'd start with these exotic foods around the world, lunch from the grocery list, dinner from the grocery list, and a 4th meal from these foods around the world. Got it? So 5 days a week, you're having 4 meals a day. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent. This will spin all of you out, I know. Intermittent, nutritional fasting, not water fasting, not time-restricted eating. You're literally fasting with nutrition. So what did they do different? No food from the grocery store on those 2 days for 48 hours. They only had those foods around the world. But this time, those foods, they let her eat 8 times a day. You heard me. She was eating every hour and a half. No one was hungry. The diabetics, no one had insulin spikes. And in a month's time, by the way, the pictures you're looking at, those are 8 or 9 years old. She's kept the weight off. And in a month's time, instead of losing any lean muscle, she gained 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise. And lost 25 pounds a week, 38.75 inches in a week. And then Julie did even better. In 37 days, she lost 35 pounds. Look at the change in her body. This is not a diet. There's nothing like this on the planet. So it was really the combination, let me go back to the beginning. It was really the combination of only 30% of the food from the grocery store, organic in this country, and the 70% from these foods around the world, and then in very specific things. Now, here's the thing I didn't tell you. The only reason to do this, one of the only reasons, is maintenance. See, she lost that weight. Well, actually, she wanted to lose 35 pounds. She lost 21 of it there. It took her, I think, 7 weeks. She did lose 35 pounds, and she's kept it off for 9 years. But how did she do it? Once she got her weight off, then what did she do? Maintenance was simple. These exotic foods around the world, breakfast every day, only one meal from there, lunch and dinner from foods, regular food, and then maybe once every 2 to 3 months, another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast. Once she got to her goal, be very clear. That's why this is called, I didn't name it, they did, the researchers, R2M, race to maintenance. The only biggest reason to do this is to maintain it. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. That's what you should be excited about. Now, the other reasons to do it, one of the biggest reasons is because every one of you on here, including me, have this new medical syndrome. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. TDOS, what does it stand for? The T for toxicity, D for nutritional deficiency, O for being overweight, and S is for stress. Every one of us have it. And what it means is that we're drinking, we're breathing, we're eating chemicals. And as they enter the body, you can't avoid them entering your body, the body first presents the chemical to the liver. Well, our livers are so overwhelmed now, 35 to 40% of you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and that's not from drinking alcohol. The liver is so overworked that it can't handle the chemicals anymore. So now the new chemicals come in, the liver can't touch them. The body's last line of defense is to take that chemical and stuff it in your fat cell. That's why most of you complain not just about how much weight you have, but how much fat you have on your body. We're evolving, okay? What they did in these studies through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved that this protocol, R2M, was helping the body remove the chemicals from the body. That's why her stomach shrank. I mean, you look at Curtis, an older gentleman, yeah, he lost 40 pounds and 52 inches in 30 days, but look at his stomach. That's not photoshopped. He wasn't holding it in, and that's with absolutely no exercise. But again, look at his lab work, his A1C from 8.4 to 6.4, his triglycerides from 242 to 124. No diet's ever produced anything like this. You all know on a diet, if you lose a pound a week, you're joyous. Well, imagine, how would you like to lose 5 pounds a week with no exercise? Or like the daughter of this friend of mine, I know her, that's 8 or 9, she really lost 60 pounds in 3 months. That's 5 pounds a week. How many of you would be thrilled with that? But look at the change. Look at her arms. Look at her face. Look at her body. A lot of people think it's not the same woman. I know her. I know her, for crying out loud. Is that unbelievable to all of you? Okay, what? So please, didn't I just explain it? So what I eat. Okay, so here to Jay's. All right, let me go slowly. The researchers put together, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle, where you would get a list of the foods that they selected that are very high in nutrition and not high in quantity. And they included proteins, carbohydrates, vegetables, fruits, etc., etc. Okay? You have a list that you can use forever if you want, or certainly while you're doing this protocol. And then once you really get to your goal, then you can expand and have pizza and other things that you want to have, okay? But that was only 30% of the food she consumed. The other 70% came from other food groups from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand that represented huge amounts of nutrition, but not huge amounts of quantity. So what they consumed, they were consuming less food, pretty much like what you do on a diet from a quantity standpoint. But unlike diets, they concentrated on nutrition. And the key was giving you more nutrition. It didn't matter what the quantity of the food was. It only mattered the quantity of the nutrition. Then on the initial program where they lost the weight in that amount of time, 5 days a week, they were having 4 meals a day. They started with these exotic foods from around the world you can't buy at your grocery store. Lunch came from this grocery store list, dinner from the grocery store list, and a 4th meal after dinner from these groups around the world. Got that part? So 5 days a week, you'd have 4 meals a day. That's called protein pacing. 2 days a week, you'd do something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not water fasting, not time restricting. In those days, absolutely no food from your grocery store. None. Zero. Only these food groups around the world. But this time, you'd be having them 8 times a day. So imagine being on a diet where you're eating every hour and a half. That's exactly what they did. And look at the results. And then once you get to your goal, then it's as simple as breakfast every morning. That's what I do. These exotic foods around the world. I have a regular lunch, a regular dinner, and I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. I've kept it off for 23 years. Shouldn't that be of interest to you? I hope that makes sense to you here at Jay's. Here at Jay's. Well, here at Jay's, listen, here at Jay's, it's not just fruit. Okay, what you actually get, let me show you. It'll make it easier for you. You get, this is what they used in the medical studies. And these yellows here are daily videos, including a list of the foods. There's actually a grocery list that you would physically get, that you take to your grocery store. And you shop from that, but not calorie counting as much as the serving sizes. But understand something for all of you, including here at Jay's. Okay, let me show you here just one moment. This right above her head, you can see it there, hopefully here at Jay's, the New Health Conversation. That's a free medical website to go to. Once you go there, if you like what you see, because it backs up everything I'm talking about, medically backed up, you then, it says free coaching. You scroll down and get a free coach. They'll go over all this with you. They'll show you the food list. They'll talk about it, and they'll coach you the whole time for free, because it's not just what you're going to be consuming. See, this isn't like a recipe. It doesn't work like that. It works about very specific foods at very specific times at very specific amounts. It's all laid out. There's no guesswork. But again, here at Jay's, have you ever seen anything like that picture? Do you think it's the same woman? Here at Jay's, let me know. Do you think it's the same woman? Oh, okay. Here at Jay's, here's what you do. I'm going to type it in for you. The New Health Conversation. Okay, so what you do, yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? All right, and by the way, here at Jay's, that's with no exercise. Let me repeat again for all of you. That's with no exercise at all. So here at Jay's, what you do, you go to the website, look at the medical proof. We won't contact you. No, we don't do that. You can contact us. You scroll down and it says free coaching. You fill out the form and one of our coaches will call you and answer all your questions and show you everything, including the food list and everything you're doing. We're here to help you. We're here to coach you. We're here to help you. We got coached, okay? And what's happening now is people are going on this and all of a sudden their sister wants to do it, their brother, their cousin. So if we have a limitation, we only have so many coaches. But thank goodness a lot of people are stepping up and volunteering. Say, well, gosh, I'd like to help my sister. I'd like to help my brother, whatever it is. So we're creating our own sort of firestorm here, in a sense, that every time we do one of these podcasts, so many nice people like you come on and are stunned just that something like this exists. So you're going to spend about what you're spending now on food in a month. So take whatever you spent last month, take 30% of that total amount. That'll cover what you buy from the grocery store. The other 70% will pretty much cover the foods that come from around the world. It's very affordable because you're not buying from anybody. You're buying from the suppliers, but there's no middleman. You're buying directly from them. And one other thing here, this you're going to love, right? Here at Jay's, the 70% of what you spend from those suppliers, in the first month, they give you 100% money back guarantee. Did you hear that, everybody? So you're buying food for a month. 30% from your grocery store, they're not going to give you a refund, okay? But the other 70, if it doesn't work, they'll give you all your money back because it does work. They're not stupid enough to do this if it didn't work. Now, nothing's 100%, of course, here at Jay's. That would be ridiculous for me to say that. But you have to understand that, look at these results. I mean, come on, look at this. 35 pounds in 37 days. Is that unbelievable? Is that incredible? Or Christian, in just 21 pounds? Would you, here at Jay's, if you lost 21 pounds in a month, I think you'd be pretty out of your mind. Am I right? 5 pounds a week? Seriously, let me know. Here at Jay's, comment. Tell me, what do you think about that? Look at her stomach area. Look at her hips. Look at that. Would that excite you here at Jay's? Definitely, yeah. And you understand, if you go to the website, we're not going to contact you. We don't have to sell you or convince you. You look at the science. If you like what you see, then get a free coach. And they'll coach you the whole time and teach you maintenance. It doesn't do any good to do this and lose the weight and then to gain it all back. Did you hear what I said here at Jay's? I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 23 years ago. Isn't that pretty exciting? Right? So anyway, I'm going to close out this pod. Wow, it's almost an hour and 50 minutes. That's very exciting. And thanks for all the likes. You've got 3,300. Let's see, I probably will come back on and do another live between 11:30 and 12 Eastern Standard Time today. I try and do 3 or 4 of these live podcasts a day because there's so many people that want to know about it. For anybody that's been on here, I really encourage you to go to the website. I'm going to post it up one more time. You can see it above her head there in blue, the new health conversation. Don't you all think we need one? If you go to that website, we will not contact you. But if you like what you see, scroll down, you get a free coach. It's not a gimmick. The coaching is 100% free, okay? So the website, do you see it now? Where's the website? I also put it in the chat at the bottom for you. Just tell me that before I sign off here at Jay's, make sure that you're comfortable, you know where to go. I'm putting it in the bottom on the comments for everybody. You can see it, the new health conversation. And also here at Jay's, can you see above her name or head in blue, the new health conversation? Put it, yes, got it. Okay, thanks, good. Because I didn't want to jump off and then go, oh, I didn't know where to go, whatever. So here at Jay's, are you excited? It's okay, you can be skeptical. But if this does anything close to what happened to these women, how much would that excite you? How much confidence would that give you? How much, sort of zest for life? Because a lot of this is not just how much weight they lost, but more energy, sleeping better at night, less aches and pains. And if you're a stylist, you're on your feet all day, I can imagine that probably more energy would not be a bad thing for you to have. Am I correct? I'll show it off. I love it. I love it. So here at Jay's, thank you so much for joining. I really encourage you to go there and look. This is a pun. You have nothing to lose. I mean, you do, but you know what I'm saying. By going there, because we're not going to contact you, and only you contact us if you like what you see. Fair enough to everybody? Okay, everybody. Well, I'm going to sign off now, and like I said, I'll be back on around between 11:30 and 12 Eastern Standard Time today. Everybody have a great rest of your day, evening, afternoon, because this is going all over the world. I've got weight to lose. Well, you can certainly lose it. So everybody, go to the website above her head, the New Health Conversation, see the medical proof, and then get a free coach. See you, everyone.